Welcome back. Well, yes, indeed, we're going to be discussing the Plateau situation, and we've got some gentlemen joining us now. Honorable Abak Nuhu Ayuba, the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, who you just saw there. And then we've got Bitrus Kaze, former member, the House of Representatives. He was representing Just South, Just East Federal Constituency. And then we're expecting Dan Manjan, Commissioner for Information, Plateau State, to join us, hoping that will happen. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the program. Let me start with you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, you did meet, and we just saw some parts of your resolutions at that time. But first, could you give a background to this? Because those who are interpreting, of course, it will always happen that way, that people interpret your resolutions differently. But when you did call on citizens to arm themselves, what exactly did the House mean or intend to achieve with that? Could you unmute, Honorable Speaker? That's for you. We still can't hear you yet. You need to unmute yourself such that we can hear you. All right. While we are trying to sort that out, Honorable Kaze, you equally on ground, observing what's been going on. What is your impression in terms of the responses coming through and how this is being handled across board?
What is my what? You said, what is my attention? What is my request?
What is your impression? Because the State House of Assembly have responded, the governor has responded, and then had a broadcast. Security agencies themselves have equally spoken up. So what is your impression of all of this?
Well, the thing is that, good morning, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak on channels this morning. What has happened is largely a repeat of the things we have seen in the past. People will be attacked, and when they react, the victims are picked. Government comes out to condemn, and condemn. Sometimes a few visits here and there in the hospital, in the villages, and end of story. So there's nothing new to me, really. If anything about this government in particular, it's simply that what has happened has shown that what they have said consistently, that this government is able to restore peace, has been debunked clearly.
Well, you also have heard the resolutions by the State House of Assembly asking the government of the state, giving them 2 weeks to address or attend to visit the people and do several other things. How much impact do you think that can have?
To me, it's really surprising to me, really, that it would take a State House of Assembly to pass a resolution asking the governor to speak, to visit, to take care of the victims, their bills. Those are normal things. It doesn't take a resolution of a House of Assembly to do this and to address plenary. If I were in the governor's shoes, I would rush to the State Assembly. I will rush to visit my victims. I will rush to visit villages. It doesn't, and it ought not to take the resolution of the State House of Assembly for them. Honestly, I really didn't know exactly the content of the resolution until Mr. Speaker read it as you showed it on channel this morning. I wish there were more stronger resolution, even though as a legislator, former one at that, I wouldn't be so comfortable with a resolution that says must. Resolutions are not laws unto themselves. They would have said, we urge the governor and then leave him to act, because if he chooses to resign, there will be no need for must.
They had to take the State House of Assembly to speak or ask the governor to speak. It will come across as though he has not been doing that, but he has been speaking before the House of Assembly gave their resolutions.
Well, the thing is that what has the governor been speaking? What has he been saying? For me, the governor has told us before that he gave appointments and there was peace. The governor said that the government house in Jos is built on cattle roads. The governor said, for example, that the farmers, also hold AK-47. What exactly is the content of what the governors have said before? So if the State House of Assembly took a resolution to ask our own governor to speak, clearly it is a sort of an indictment that he has not really spoken the mind of the people. Otherwise, what will inform a resolution for governor to speak by members of the State Assembly?
So what do you make of the governor's address? He addressed the state saying, look, despite the directive that he had given to security operatives to ensure that they arrest and bring to justice perpetrators of this such that they can stop it, the attacks are still going on.
The governor is a citizen of Plateau State. The governor was a member of the State House of Assembly and indeed the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly. The governor ought to know the history of the crisis in Jos since 1994. Indeed, the governor ought to understand that it is actually during curfew time that more innocent citizens are killed, sometimes both by the security agencies and their assailants, because the citizens are armless, because the citizens are helpless. In very hard times like this, people are hungry and you confine them for this long, and you just gather them together and they become subject of attack. The thing is this, the truth of the matter is that it does not just stop at giving directives. It does not just stop at making speeches, addressing the public already. It goes far beyond that. And what do I mean by that? How many people have we seen government after government prosecuting? Because many arrests have been made before. Anyway, these attacks happen in communities. How many times have we seen anybody being held responsible? At a point in time in Jos, people came out and said, we are responsible for some of this killing. But we have not seen any arrest.
I'm on channel, sir.
Well, Mr. Manjan, yes, we can hear you. So I'm sure whoever is speaking might have also heard. Well, Dan Manjan joins us now. He's the Commissioner for Information in Plateau State. Good morning, Mr. Manjan. Thank you for joining us. Well, I don't know if you heard Honorable Kadze saying, look, basically, the state government is not doing enough.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Enough in this case is relative. When you say the state government is not doing enough, he needs to define what the state government, what it means that state government is not doing enough. We know the history of the crisis in Plateau State. We know ourselves. I can tell you, between January and now, the state governor has interfaced through the peace building agency, for example, with the Uruguay people for up to 85 times between January and now. The state government has issued out reliefs. The state government has done so much, has put in structures, and my brother is saying that the state government has not done enough. Let me ask. He knows that some of the things that need to be done are constitutional. For example, the state governor is the chief security officer of the state. My brother was in the National Assembly for 8 years. What effort did he make to amend the constitution to give the governor the chief to back? Those are the issues. The curfew that we extended, he knows, we know our peculiarities in Plateau State, and let me open up. By the time you want to lift the curfew on a Friday or on a Sunday, our people will bring religion and put into it and say we lifted the curfew on a Friday so that Muslims will go to mosque. or we lifted the curfew on Sunday or Saturday so that we can give a leeway for Christians to go to church. Those are the issues that we have. We have agreed, the governor has agreed that there are limitations, and he is talking also of the fact that the people have not been punished. I have also alluded to that. I have alluded to that. There are white papers that transcends this government and the past one. There are white papers. But you know, even the implementation is at different levels. Individuals can approach the courts because of if they are shortchanged, and look at the white papers. The security can look at the white papers and implement. The state government has been magnanimous enough to even come out with these white papers. And then we say that we want to play to the gallery and say that the government is not doing enough. Enough is a relative term.
Right.
Very soon, another person will come. And the situation, if we don't speak truth to ourselves, the situation will continue to escalate.
All right, just hang on, Mr. Majan. Let me get back to Honorable Kazi on this one. Well, Honorable Kazi, you heard what he said. So for you, what specifically would you have the governor do, or the state government do, that has not been done or is not being done?
Okay, thank you for that question. When I say that enough has not been done, I want to ask how many people, how many assailants, whether Fulani husbands, whether unknown gunmen, whether marauders, whether miscreants, how many has the state government arrested in the last 6 years? That is one. How many assailants has the state government prosecuted? Even if they are not prosecuted, how many have they made public to say that we arrested A, B, C, D in XYZ places? How many? What agitates the mind of a typical Plateau man is when the killings were happening in Bokos, when the killings were happening in Barkilati, when they were happening in Riom, when they came to Irigweland, why didn't we see the government going about condoling people and visiting people in the hospital? Why didn't we see that previously? He spoke about the fact that they have done enough. He mentioned relief materials. We don't, for me as a person, relief material is like a token. We are talking about the individual lands, indigenous lands seized by foreign people. At a point in time, a foreign flag was raised somewhere in Bokos. How many of those lands have been reclaimed? Many houses have been burned down. Our people in John, our people in Riom, our people in several parts of Plateau State have their houses burned down. How many houses has the state government reconstructed? How many of these attacks, how many times did this government came to say that there was going to be an attack, and because of our intelligence capacity, we prevented attacks on community A, B, C, and they had to leave? How many times has government done that? Okay, the white paper the commissioner is talking about, it is to me unfortunate that our own commissioner will describe a white paper as a magnanimity of government. It's government duty to give us what we want. And the primary essence of government is the protection of life and citizens. White paper cannot be a magnanimity. It's government duty. Listen, sir, the thing is this. The white paper our commissioner is talking about, they didn't make it. The previous government actually drafted that white paper. We are not aware, for example, that all the crises that have taken place, we have not seen the government of Governor Lalong maybe constitute a commission of inquiry, maybe to check also what the previous government from Governor Dare and Governor Jang did. You remember the Nikitobi Commission? You remember the Justice Ajibola Commission? What about Lalong? Where will we see his own?
Well, Honorable Kate, you've asked some questions, and it's only fair to get a response from the government side. I mean, these questions need to be answered, as some would say. So, Honorable Commissioner, he has raised some questions about prosecution. He's raised a question about how many houses have been reconstructed, what has been done. I mean, recall we spoke to you last week and you talked about that land grabbing law, and it would be important to know just how much it has been enforced. So to some of those questions raised by the Honorable, can you just respond to clear the air?
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, let me say with all seriousness that we pay lip service to issues of life, and we play to the gallery. I am taking aback that we play to the gallery about this issue. When you talk about government, you need to specify who this government is. Government operates at different levels. There are various levels. He would expect the state governor to go and make arrests. There's an organ that has the responsibility of making arrests. There's an organ that has a responsibility of prosecution. There is an organ that has a responsibility of giving the orders. And so if you want to get those kind of statistics, you go to the organ. And to say that the government has not visited, I mean, it is not true at all. We have been visiting. We have even visited in the midst of the governor being pelted with stones in communities, and he still visits, and he still issues relief materials. He says government white papers are not magnanimous. I would want to ask him, what was his contribution at the National Assembly to make sure that this stems the tide of crisis in Plateau State? About this land grabbing, anti-land grabbing law, it is there for everybody to take advantage of and key to it, and make sure that he goes and seek redress. The enabling law has been provided. Supposing the anti-land grabbing law was not even there, what would he have said? Those are the issues. The state belongs to all of us. There is no governor, there is no individual that would be able to, that is happy seeing these things. The executive governor of Plateau State has clearly apologized in the past on behalf of the killings that have been done, and has felt sorry. What do these people want him to do? Those are the issues. He has been up and doing, and there are people that up till today have not come to terms that Lalong is the governor of Plateau State. For God,
okay.
For the past 6 years, we have enjoyed peace in this state. And
if I could just come in now, because I think I see a common thread in the conversations, the different submissions we've had this morning, and it's about justice being served. I mean, to serve as a deterrent, to ensure that at least the people that have been on the receiving end get justice moving forward. And I think that's a common thread, and the conversation will largely center around finding solutions. I mean, looking at the loopholes we've seen in the recent times and ensuring that they are blocked at whatever level. And I recall the governor actually speaking about justice as well. And he says that if there's no justice, there will be reoccurrence. If you see an issue of this nature happening, then it means there are sacred cows. The laws are not being applied. And he went on to say that the culprits, all culprits, will be brought to justice. So I'm quite curious, and I imagine a lot of people are, how will this justice be served? You have said that the problem is at different levels. So if the governor is saying justice will be served, for people listening and thinking, how? Can you enlighten us?
Yes, well, how the justice can be served is for people to be prosecuted. We have said we also have an anti-kidnapping law which attracts death penalty, signed by this government, by this governor, and he consistently, when people are arrested, and we have said it that they have even been released, even in the life of past administrations. We have had people arrested with arms. They were being prosecuted, and their case files were transferred to Abuja. I've said this times without number, and nothing is heard about it. And so when you talk about justice, the state governor has said that when prosecutions are made, he is going to apply the laws. He's waiting, for example, in the situation, in the case of the anti-kidnapping bill, there's nobody that has been prosecuted. And how do you hold the governor responsible now? But what we are saying as a government and as a people, and we agree, the state governor agrees, I agree, and I believe that my brother Kaze agrees, Honorable Kaze agrees, is that people must be seen to be prosecuted. And prosecution is not done by the executive. Prosecution is done from the arrests are made and then taken to court. I have said it in the past that I've seen instances whereby a case goes from the lower court to the appeal court to the Supreme Court and stays in the Supreme Court for 22 years before justice is done. And when that is done, people go about doing what, perpetrating heinous crimes on Plateau. I am also looking at the situation whereby the security apparatus will stand up and the courts will prosecute and people will be jailed for those that will be jailed, and then they will prosecute it according to the laws of the land. Those are the things that we would want to do.
All right, Honorable Kadze, you've heard his perspective on those matters. Does that address the concerns you raise? Are you there, Honorable Kadze?
Now, can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Good. I said the issue I raised with utmost respect. I'm not sure the commissioner addressed them. You know why I said so? The commissioner addressed fundamental issues, germane issues, as to how many people have been prosecuted, as to how many houses they have reconstructed, as to how many times government using its intelligence mechanism prevented any attack on our citizens. And then the commissioner answered that by saying, when I was in the National Assembly, what did I do to ensure that the Constitution is amended to give the governor, to give impetus, to give the governor a biting teeth as the chief security officer of the state. Now, is the commissioner telling me that, assuming I failed as a member of the National Assembly in 8 years, is he now saying because you failed, you cannot blame us for failing? Is that what the commissioner is saying? In any case, I did not fail. Plateau people know that when I represented them in the National Assembly for 8 years, I was suspended for a year for speaking out the issues of my people. There was supposed to be a time I would have been suspended for a second time. We held an executive session, but the House determined that if I was suspended, it will affect the entire country, and my suspension was stopped. I carried a lot of, I spoke my heart, because the issues he is talking about relating to the office of the governor as the chief security officer didn't just start today. So definitely I spoke about them. But be that as it may, the commissioner ought not to, in my view, come up on the air and say we cannot hold government responsible. Who do we hold responsible? They took an oath of office to protect life and properties.
Gentlemen, we need to go on a commercial break, but not to worry, we'll return and continue on this matter. We're also hoping that we'll get a clear connection with the speaker, Honorable Ayuba, and then we'll get his perspective. So don't go away. Welcome back. Let's get to Honorable Kaze. Could you go ahead and conclude your thoughts, Honorable Kaze, please?
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. What I was trying to say is, I don't think I hesitate to use the word that will offset the commissioner. But I don't think it is responsible for our own member of the Executive Council of Plateau State to come on air and say you cannot hold government responsible. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria provides that government, the primary essence of government, is the security and welfare of its people. And so when we give government the mandate to represent us, we have to hold government responsible, nothing else. The commissioner also accused me. He was asking what I did. When I was in the National Assembly during our own time in government, we set up Operation Rainbow. I take it that Governor Jan gave back to it. I lost it in the National Assembly because there was a motion that came on the floor by Senator Abdul Ningi to question the authority of Operation Rainbow to operate on the plateau. I stood up, I countered it, and the House voted in favor of my counter. I have done my part. The question is, what are they doing?
Well, let's just keep it on the crisis at hand. That's all we need to address, so we don't just deviate or lose focus. Okay. Well, Honorable Commissioner, well, you heard his perspective. I think what he's trying to say, if I understood him, is that government is not being seen to be doing enough. Yes, you have said the police have got their responsibility, the state government have got their responsibility, but does that cut it for you when it says perhaps it's about the impression?
Yes, the issue is that the Honorable Kaze has been trying to put words into my mouth to think that he would discredit what I'm saying by saying that I said we cannot hold government accountable. I would not say a thing like that. But as I can tell you, we are all Plateau people, and if government must be held into account, we agree, and that is why the governor will share to trust on behalf of the people, and when we did that, for the state governor to come, television and public to say that he's apologizing, it speaks volumes. The government must be held accountable, but the people also have a responsibility. Those are the issues that I am saying. That we have, as much as we have, we will be held accountable. People also have a responsibility. I agree that there are. How do we nurture the midwife? The situation it has to do with life and death. How do we put our heads together and midwife the situation? But in an attempt to play to the gallery, then you put words into my mouth. You say it is shameful and for a member of the State Executive Council to say things that he has not said. I mean, we are all honorable members.
Well, we equally do have Honorable Ayuba, the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly. We've been able to get that connection back. Well, Honorable Ayuba, so could you, we did ask you initially, we're all trying to get a solution to this, but when that resolution came through asking the indigents to arm themselves, what's the thinking behind that, and how is that going to address some of the concerns raised?
Well, thank you very much for hosting me. First, let me again sympathize with the people of Plateau State and the entire country for the ugly situation we are facing now. The resolution came as a result of, I think we have had so many resolutions regarding security issues in Plateau State. Our concern as representative of the people is that if those resolutions may have been implemented before now, they have curtailed the issue of these attacks, some of the attacks. We feel as members that the government has not been taking issues so serious based on the resolution that we have passed. We have passed not less than 15 resolutions in the floor of the House. We have set various committees to look into the issues of the security situation in the state and report back to the House. And after reporting back to the House, we will take it up and pass the resolution and send it to the executive for implementation. Ours is to pass laws. It's very unfortunate that when issue of insecurity such as this, people take it for granted and use it for a kind of politics. We don't see it that way. The House, we are not against any tribe or any religion. We have Muslims, we have Christians, we have different tribes across Plateau State. We are representative of the 17 local government that we have in Plateau State. So whatever we are doing in the House of Assembly is the voice of the people of Plateau State. We cannot bring any sentiment or our own wishes. It's the wishes of the people. When those bodies were brought in the floor of the House, they brought those bodies because they believe we are the representative, we should speak, because they hold us accountable, because they have sent us to represent them. So we have been trying our best, and the ultimatum has been given that, like the killing didn't start in a single day. We have killing in Morish, in Mangu local government. We have killing in the quarters, attacks in quarters. Hundreds of lives were lost. Property were destroyed. We have killings in Berkim Nadi, Gashis. We have killings in Riyom local government area. We have killing in Kuru of recent, the South local government. We have killing in Basa. That has been continuous issues in Basa local government, Rukba Irwe to be precise. And we have been moving motions upon motions regarding those issues of securities, but none of the motions has ever been implemented by the executive.
Was it because of that then that you came up with that, asking the citizens to arm themselves?
Well, we are constrained. We know that the governor is the chief security of the state. We are not against him. The governor is a bona fide son of Plateau State. Why we brought the issue of arm themselves? We didn't say the people should kill anybody. Protect yourself. Even our Bible tells us that you should not be killed like just chicken. Protect yourself. What we are telling our people: don't just sleep and be killed like an animal. Protect, stand up and defend yourself from this killing. That is what we tell our citizens.
So how will that work? I mean, because some would say interpretation is dependent on the person reading or listening to you. I mean, people might interpret it differently. So from your point of view, putting out that statement, putting out that position, how do you expect it to work? Are you asking people to, like people have referenced, get arms and ammunition? Because some might say that's the way they can protect themselves, because people coming to attack them are coming with the same thing or even higher firepower. Some might interpret it differently. So just what do you mean exactly by that, defend yourself?
Okay. We are constrained in this issue since the chief security of the state, we have moved so many resolutions regarding the issue of security. To us, as members of the Plateau State House Assembly, we feel that he turns a kind of deaf ears on us, not to listen to us. As I'm speaking to you now, the House of Assembly is under sealed by the security because we spoke and because we are standing for the people. They have sent security there that nobody should go to the house. Can you imagine? We feel that the executive are not respecter of the law. They don't respect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We have every right as the members of the House of Assembly to say what we will say because we have the immunity in the flow of the House. So because of the constraint, that is why we said that people should protect. They should not just fall asleep and sleep like nothing is happening. To stand up, those bad eggs that are within us, those that will come in the night and kill us like chickens, like animals, if they find you awake, at least you should have solutions to defend yourself, or you can run. That is the last thing you can do.
Okay, let's get Mr. Majak to respond to some of the issues you raised, because it's very important. First, you say that the speaker, Mr. Majak, if you can hear me, and I believe you heard him as well, talked about certain security operatives laying siege at the House of Assembly. Are you aware of this? Is the government aware of this? Let us know, please.
Yes, well, as a matter of fact, that is news to me. It is news to me, strange. And His Excellency, the Governor of Plateau State, has been the Speaker of the State House of Assembly in the past for about 7 years, a long-lasting speaker. It would be strange. The long and short of it is that this is strange to me, and I am not aware of it.
Well, Commissioner, now that you have heard and know about it, is that right?
The issue of whether it is right or not is subject to investigation. We have to. It's not right for if that really happens. Then maybe somebody is overzealous. It's something that we have to find out. and then it's not a matter of being right or not. That if you want me to answer it straight, there's no reason why the House of Assembly there's no reason why there should be a seat on the House of Assembly, because the House of Assembly is the office that we have given them, the chambers that we have given them, and it brings to mind the reason why. In fact, we are taking aback when the House Committee member on information went to the NUJ to address a press conference and raise those allegations. We expected that if there's anything that will be done, it will be done in the hallowed chambers of the House of Assembly. But this one, we are going to look at it, and then we would see whoever that has done that, and the sanctions will be meted to him. But that is strange to me. It's something that I need to find out sincerely.
All right, my colleague has got some questions for gentlemen. Mark?
Indeed, Chamberlain, thank you. I'd like to start with the Commissioner for Information. I'm sure a lot of people are very concerned, as they rightly should be, about how the peace-building efforts are going on in Plateau State has collapsed, it would seem, with the events of the past few weeks. Can you begin to trace for us if there was any mechanism put in place to be able to detect that the peace-building effort that was being put in place by the state governor was already coming, it would seem, to, I don't want to say to an end, but that it was about to collapse and fall on its face despite years of hard work. Can you trace for us if indeed there's any mechanism to be able to detect that?
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, the DG Peace Building Agency is there. And I am happy that you are using conditional language. You are saying it seemed to have collapsed, and that means it has not collapsed. What we have early warning signs that we use. We have people that are detecting for us whether a crisis is going to come or not, and they have been working. We have employed over 3,500 youths and trained them. Distributed them to the 17 local governments. That one everybody knows on the plateau, and without them, their contribution, I can assure you, the situation would have escalated beyond what it is today. There would have been probably no Plateau State today, but we thank God for the Peace Building Agency for the efforts that they have. Of course, in every system, in every structure, there are gaps. There could be gaps in the workings of the Peace Building Agency, but matters of peace are not supposed to be left in the hands of particular people. The matters of peace are matters of everybody, including those that needs to be protected. What we should be doing at this moment is to find a lasting solution to this. But what we don't want to do is to begin to stereotype people and to begin to apportion blames and to begin to think that the state governor is not doing well. We are not saying that. We are not saying that that there are no gaps. That is why we say that there needs to be justice, and that is why we must put our hands all on deck. We have started saying that. Our leaders, our past leaders, I have said it maybe on channels or in different places, that, for example, in less than 2 weeks, we never saw Elder General Jeremiah Hussein come to Government House. He came to Government House. Our own dear Jonah Jang, he came to Government House for the first time in 6 years. And in 1 year, they parleyed with the governor. I'm trying to look at the solutions to our crisis that we have. And so we have started seeing a semblance of people coming together. And this erupted. And what we expect is that we need to rally around each other and make sure that we curtail the situation. And for the right honorable speaker, about the resolutions, we are not denying that there have been resolutions that have been sent, but it is good for Plateau people to know these resolutions. And it is also good for the people that are supposed to act on these resolutions. It could be the state governor. Of course, the onus rests upon him squarely, but there are people that also, I believe, would be able to have a say, because resolutions are advices, and we would be more than happy to take advices to work on them. And if you see things doing like that, if the right honorable speaker is talking about government not acting on resolutions, it might not be deliberate. We expect that there are other means that he would be able to have a back check, so that they will be able to take. We'll be able to sit down together. You needed to do that you have not. How do you go about it?
Mr. Manja, a few things stand out for me in your submission so far. The fact that you spoke about early warning systems, and it would seem that even though you say that, there was a mechanism to have early warning systems in place, and yes, the system is not perfect. Obviously, in this particular instance, it has not worked. And I'm a little curious as to whether or not the peace-building mechanisms that have been in place, and I'm sure a lot of people will say that, 6 years is a long time to have had peace on the plateau. It was very commendable, and it is commendable still, because we saw that a number of states, had to ask what is going on in Plateau State and how could they replicate it in their own states as well. However, listening to Mr. Honorable Kaze this morning, I'm wondering whether it took into account old wounds. Let me quickly speak with with Honorable Kaze, if you can hear me. I'm sure you must have been following the events in the past few years in Plateau State. There has been a lot of quiet, and people have been saying, well, it would seem that Plateau has begun to regain itself back until this recent crisis which we witnessed. In your mind and to how you view it, what do you think went wrong in terms of the peace-building process? What didn't it take into account for it to have, I don't want to use the word collapse, but for it to have gone awry in this manner?
In my view, the proper question actually would be, was there any peace building and maintenance effort in the first place? What was the peace building mechanism put in place? Appointment of an agency, appointment of a commissioner, and there was peace. Nothing more as far as I know. The commissioner himself testified, a former governor and a general of notable repute on the plateau have not been to government house in the last 6 years. That, to me, does not reflect a good credential of any peace-building mechanism, if there was any. I think, in my view, and I speak believing that this is the view of most Plateau people, many Plateau people see that the current administration on the Plateau State has become a darling of our traducers. And so they believe that by dilly-dallying with our traducers, they would find some relief. But they do not realize that you can only deal with such people for a time. Their true color will manifest. To my mind, their true colors have manifest. Many Plateau people are asking, what is the benefit really when our governor comes to here and say he doesn't know me well, and that he is now the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum? The question arises, what benefit is there for the people of Plateau, as given that our own governor is the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum? In our times of travail, where is the North? In our times of trouble, where is the North? In our times of difficulty, where is the North? Why is the North not speaking for Plateau? Yet, our governor is the chairman of Northern Governors Forum. For me, I do not know of any tangible, workable peace-building mechanism that has collapsed. There was no tangible peace-building mechanism in the first place. Employment is not peace-building mechanism. When the commissioner says, for example, that the governor apologized, oh, thank God our own dear governor apologized. But I would be interested as a citizen to know, how does the apology of our governor manifest? in less killings, in less burning of houses. You heard the speaker very well. Mr. Speaker mentioned villages that have been attacked. Those villages, when they were attacked, what effect did we see of their peace-building mechanism, if there was any?
But you must admit that in the last 6 years, things were quiet before now. I mean, what was responsible for the quiet?
Simply because our traducers have seen a friend in those at the helms of authority in our place. So it was just a piece of the graveyard. I've said so before. It was simply a piece of the graveyard. It was pretensive peace. It wasn't genuine peace. People on the plateau have had to pay because of the mistakes of our government. When our own governor comes and says that our people hold firearms, that we, the farmers of Plateau, hold firearms, and we cannot arrest one and prosecute, you can imagine the amount of hate that be generated against farmers on the Plateau because of that statement. It's not as if there has been peace. It's just that our traducers have found a friend in government house, and they have done to us what they like, and they have now decided to simply manifest their true colors.
But there are different interpretations to that, because some people will say that, oh, because I mean, we cannot rule out the current the fact that we're getting close to a political year. But let me quickly come to the Honorable Speaker. Would you agree, because you have been at the helm of affairs in terms of making laws for the good governance of Plateau State, would you agree that there was really nothing called peace building in the first instance? Or, you know, what would you say is responsible for what is currently happening that is truncating the peace which the Plateau had hitherto witnessed, at least in the last 6 years?
Well, I would say that there has been peace building in the inception of this administration in the beginning. But the problem we are saying here is not about the issue of the peace building. What we are saying here is that the peace building should be a kind of a work and synergy with the people of the communities. When the question was asked whether we said the people should carry arms, we have never said the people should carry arms. But the people have licensed to carry balls, and some of that means some of small arms that they can use. But we are not saying that they should carry arms against anybody. The people should defend. When we say defend, stay awake, don't sleep. We wish that the governor will speak just like he spoke on behalf of the people that were killed in Ruba Roads, last month, you know, or early this month. That has been our wishes in Plateau State. We brought him in to defend the people of Plateau State. We did not say that he defend Mr. A and leave Mr. B. It's to totally defend the people of Plateau State. And again, based on the submission of the commissioner that he's not aware of the siege in the House of Assembly, please, the channel can follow us in the next 2 hours. We are going to the House of Assembly. All the members are going to the House of Assembly, and you will see things for yourself. What is happening? The Nigerians should see things for yourself. In obedience to the constitution of the country, you will see it for yourself. So we are not saying the peace building they have tried their best, but the best is not enough if the people are not secured.
When you resolve that people should defend themselves, it does, you know, paint a picture of a lack of confidence in security agencies to be able to, or the ability of the state to be able to defend them, or to be able to find lasting solution to the problems currently bedeviling them. Is that really the situation for you?
Well, I wouldn't say that the security are not doing anything. They are trying their best. We have a very best commissioner of police who responds quickly to issues. When you call him, when you invite him, he responds quickly to any issues of security in the states. But sometimes we feel that the security situation is, the security in the country is overstretched. That is why we are saying that the people should not close. They should stand up and help the security in defending their communities. Like, for example, in Plateau State, we have so many laws that we have passed. We have passed a bill, a law, and it has been given assent by the governor against the anti-kidnapping. We have anti-kidnapping laws. We have anti-cultism. We have land grabbing, anti-land grabbing laws, and none of those has been implemented. None of those has been implemented by the executive. We have never seen anybody being arrested that he's a kidnapper and he's being prosecuted. And we have never seen anybody being arrested, being sent away, that he has taken over any land in Plateau State. What we need is, we need people of Plateau State to be together, united. We are not against any tribe or any religion. In our communities, we have Muslims, we have Christians in Plateau State, and we are working together to make sure there's peace in Plateau State.
All right, then Honorable Abok Ayuba, Speaker, Plateau State House of Assembly, and then Dan Manjan, Commissioner for Information, Plateau State, and then Honorable Bitrus Kaze, former member representing Just South and Just East. Gentlemen, thank you all for joining us this morning
I thought I would
on the
give you an
program.
opportunity to respond to some of the things that...
Well, earlier you spoke, but I'm afraid that we are out of time. So thank you all. We're back in a moment. Don't go away.